Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to another Wednesday Night Live with independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Oregon in the USA. And my name is Teresa Harper. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's go ahead and get the Facebook pulled up on my laptop here so I can see who's on. Refresh the screen and see what it shows me. All right. Good. Hello, Jennifer. Thank you so much for joining me. All right. So this is the bundle Crafting with You that we will be using this evening. I have one card tutorial and then I have one 3D project. Hello, Cynthia and Laura. And then I've got an extra product to show you, or an extra 3D project and another card. Yeah, another card. So actually, I have two cards. So lots of inspiration tonight. So let's just go ahead and give another 30 seconds or so to see if anyone else jumps on. And then we will get started. So final reminder about the Designer Series paper sale that ends tomorrow at 10:59 p.m. Pacific Time or 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time. We're in the Pacific time zone, so for us, it will end at 10:59 p.m. Okay. Hello, Cher Ellis. How are you? Hope you're having a wonderful evening. All right. So I am going to go ahead and jump right in. We're going to start with the card project. I hope you like it, and then we'll finish up with the 3D project, which can be adapted for any occasion and is really simple to make. All right, so let's set these aside for the moment. Bring in our supplies. And we've got some Lost Lagoon, Calypso Coral, and Pretty Peacock ink. Those are ink pads. We don't have much in the way of blends today. We've got Daffodil Delight, Light Smoky Slate, Dark Pretty Peacock, and Light Calypso Coral. For the most part, we're not coloring. This stamp pretty much, or this set doesn't need a bunch. We're going to start with a basic white thick card base, and this is 5.5 by 8.5. We've scored that in the middle at 4 1/4. And hang on. Let's take a look at this. It looks like it might have gotten cut just a little bit crooked. So let's check that out and see if I need to fix that. Oh, it looks okay here. Really? All right, well, let's go with it. I was just looking just a little bit crooked. And that's going to bug me if that's the case. Okay, so I've given that a good burnish. All right. Then we've got a piece of fresh freesia. And this is 4 by 5 1/4. And I have run it through the die cut machine. Stampin' Cut and Emboss with one of the 3D Basics embossing folders, and I've used the crosshatch design. I love this set of 3D Basics. This is an online exclusive, so you get the crosshatch, you get some bubbles, and then you get a little star pattern, which we are using later. Okay, So I'm going to set that aside. Now I've already done that, so we can go ahead. Nope, we're not going to attach that yet. We're going to take a piece of Lost Lagoon cardstock, and this strip is 2.5 by 5 1/4, and we're going to add this to the center of our card front. And I did not put the Fresh Freesia on, because if this sticks over just a tiny bit, if I haven't put it on the card, I can trim it. Once I put it on the card, it's really difficult to fix. Okay, so we're gonna just put that down. I use liquid glue because that's my glue of preference, my adhesive of preference when I am using an embossing folder. And then I just like to press all of that glue right into the nooks and crannies of that embossing folder. Okay, so now I can go ahead and stick this on. But before I do that, hang on. Let me go ahead and grab my Pretty Peacock ink. And I'm going to stamp on this just in case I mess it up. I can always pull this piece off quickly and fix it if I need to. I should have probably stamped before I added that, but it is photopolymer, so not too concerned. Okay, so we've got that. Now this piece is ready for a basic white card base. I prefer the thick basic white for my card bases because it's just a little bit sturdier for card bases than the regular basic white, which works fantastic for stamping on. Okay, so now we've got that on. Good to go. I'm just going to run my bone folder gently over that edge, because when you run this through the embossing folder, it warps just a little bit, and I want that all to adhere very nicely. Okay, so let's go ahead and get on with our stamping. This card actually uses quite a bit of die cuts, along with a little bit of stamping. So ahead of time, I've done some of the die cutting. So I die cut 2 of the little embroidery hoop, 1 in crumb cake and 1 in basic white. And what we want from the crumb cake, when you die cut this, you get a centerpiece that is stitched, okay? And it die cuts that out. So I die cut the white so that I could have this white center, the crumb cake, so I could have the outer. And then I'm going to use just this little piece on the top from that outside edge. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that right now. And we're going to use our smoky slate. And I don't know what I did with my nice clean. Oh, here, sort of clean, mostly clean. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to take my light smoky slate, Stampin' Blend, and I am going to color this piece right up top in smoky slate. Okay, and then I'm going to add a little bit of Wink of Stella so it looks a little bit more like a piece of shiny metal. And we are going to take this now and cut this piece off. And it's really easy to cut off. So I'm just going to snip here and snip there. And then I'm going to take my fine tip glue pen or glue bottle. You can get these on Amazon. I got mine from my friend Cynthia. And I'm going to put my glue right on my crumb cake piece. Just a very, very thin line. And then I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool. I'm going to pick that up, line it up, set it down. Okay, and now my embroidery hoop looks like it has the silvery metal piece at the top. Okay, I'm going to set these pieces aside for the moment. We're going to do a little stamping. Actually, I need to bring this back in because we need to stamp. Nope, we're not stamping on that. Never mind. Okay, so let's get some basic white pieces. I'm just using scraps here. And I'm going to take the flower image from the stamp set, and I'm going to stamp it twice. I'm going to stamp it once in Lost Lagoon. Okay. Oops. Before we do that, that one's looking a little bit inky. So if yours, this is a distinctive stamp set. So if it's a little bit inky, I'm just going to take my plastic spoon here and I'm just going to move that. I've got some thread on there too. I'm going to get that off. Oops. If I can, hang on. Oh, don't want to touch the foam because I don't want to pull up any of the foam pieces. Okay, so I'm just going to press that in. And I'll wipe off my spoon so I don't get ink everywhere. So I might need to do that again. And then I'm going to ink this up and stamp it down. And then I'm going to clean it. Do I have anything else I need to stamp in Lost Lagoon? Nope. Okay, so we've got that. Then we're going to use our Calypso Coral. Okay, I'm going to ink that up. And that, see on my pad how I have those little white bubbles? That's not good for distinctive stamp, so I'm going to take my spoon again. I'm going to ink that up, or I'm going to push that ink down into the pad, and then I'm going to ink this up and do this. Okay, now why did I do two, you might ask? Well, let me show you. I tried to ink this with markers and I did not get a good result. So if I take the Lost Lagoon marker, this doesn't work very well with distinctive stamps, this technique. It works great on the red rubber and on some of the photopolymer, but the distinctive ones, you just don't get a great result usually. So to combat that, I stamped one in Lost Lagoon and one in Calypso Coral. And then I'm going to take my flowers from my Calypso Coral and I'm going to fussy cut those. There is a die for this image, but because I don't want the whole image, that die does not work for me. So I'm just going to fussy cut this out. Doesn't take that much. I'm leaving just the tiniest border of white. I don't want to cut right on the line, but I don't want to leave a large border. Okay. So I fussy cut this. Get all 4 of my flowers, and notice I'm keeping it all in one piece. And I'm just going around and cutting off the leaves. Quick fussy cut there. Okay. And now I can die cut this one out with the coordinating die, and I can glue this on top, and then I've got that two-toned image. Here I've already die cut the green, or the Lost Lagoon. So then I've got the two-toned image that I want, and I can just go around here and put a little bit of glue on each of these flowers. And then I can add this to my die cut. And now I've got a two-toned image. And I didn't have to do the markering. Okay? So that's a way around those two-tone single stamp images on how you want to get it. Okay? So we've got that piece. Now, out of some scrap white, and we need a scrap piece of smoky slate, a scrap piece of basic black, and we're going to take our dies. We're going to cut 2 of the scissors, one in black and one in basic gray. In pebbled path, you need a scrap of pebbled path. You're going to cut one of these trimmers, and this is the little cutting blade or scoring blade. So what I did was I cut one of these in pebbled path on a scrap, and then I cut one out of my smoky slate right here. I just laid this right on here like this, and cut out one of those so that I had a scoring blade and a cutting blade, and this is that piece. And I already glued those on because they're so tiny I was afraid that I would lose them. Okay, so all I did was put just a tiny bit of glue on either side and use my take your pick tool and stick it right down there where I wanted them. This is a piece of the Designer Series paper from the Delightfully Eclectic, and this is 1 inch by 1 5/8. And I'm just going to tuck this into the cutting groove right here on my trimmer. Okay, just like that. And I'm going to put just a tiny bit of glue right under the edge there, just so that doesn't move or fall out. Actually, if it moved, it would be fine. I just don't want it to fall out. So now we have a trimmer with a piece of Designer Series paper. Okay. I cut from a scrap of crumb cake the little spools. Okay, so you get 2 of these spools, and then you also get 2 threads. So you've got 1 and 2. I cut these out of crumb cake, and these I cut out of basic white. So I cut 1 of each of the 4 dies. Okay, 2 in crumb cake, 2 in basic white. And those are our pieces. Okay, so let's bring in all of those pieces and let's start assembling. Okay, and bring back in our scrap paper here, And I'm going to grab those spools of thread. Okay, and I need 3 of them. Oh goodness, did I lose one? Oh no, because I have one already assembled. Okay, so we're going to use our Daffodil Delight Stampin' Blend, and I'm going to take and just going to color one of these with the Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to color the other one with the light Calypso Coral. Now you could cut these out of the corresponding cardstock and save yourself this trouble, but I like the tone that I get with the Stampin' Right markers. Okay, so then I'm going to take my spools and the easiest way to do this is to take your glue, put just a line down the center of each one in the middle, not the top or the bottom. Then we're going to take our Take Your Pick tool, and I'm just going to set that down right there in the center. And because I used the liquid glue, I've got a second that I can push that over with my pointy tip and line that all up how I want it. Whoops. Okay, so we've got that. Then with this, I'm going to take my Wink of Stella here. Here's my Lost Lagoon that I did, or a Pretty Peacock. And then we're going to go, I'm just going to make zigzag lines of Wink of Stella, just going back and forth, just to make it look like the thread might have a sliver of glitter in it. So those are ready. Now let's go ahead and do our scissors. So I cut 2 sets, and I did that because I wanted silver tips on my scissors, blades. I want the blades. So I could have used foil, but I didn't want to, so we're using Smoky Slate. And I'm going to take and cut these at a little bit of an angle. Okay, so I'm just going to take this where this meets and go straight over here, kind of like that. And then on this one, I'm going to go the opposite way. Okay. All right. So again, I'm going to take my glue. I'm going to put just a dot and then a strip. And this time I'm going to use my tweezers. I'm going to line that up. Okay, so I've got that. I'm going to take my other piece and I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm going to assemble that. Okay, so now I've got my 2 pieces. And you could just glue these together like so, and that would be fabulous. Okay, but I've taken one of our round fasteners, brads. They come in round and square, and I took a white one and I used my Smoky Slate Stampin' Blend and I colored it. Okay, Then I'm going to bring in a pierce mat. And I'm going to get out, Stampin' Up! Has a new toolkit for your Take Your Pick tool. And one of those tips is a thinner, it comes like this. You get a thinner pokey tool and you get a pick. I'm going to use the thinner pokey tool. Okay. And I'm just going to release this, stick this in here, line up the grooves, and lock that in place. Line this up where I want it, and actually you could just go like this. Line these up like so, tip to tip. Put the handles together like that and poke your hole. Okay. And then I'm going to take my brad. If it'll stop sticking in my fingers. Okay, well, let's do it this way because it's not cooperating with me, and we don't want to be here all night just putting the silly little brad in there. Maybe my hole needs to be just a little bit bigger on this side. I don't want it to be as big as the other one. Of course, I didn't have nearly this much trouble when I did my sample. There we go. Okay. And then I can open up my brad ends. Turn those so they won't be seen. And now I can open up my scissors to whatever I want. Okay? So you can make them stationary or use a brad and make them so you can position them however you want. All right. So let's go ahead and start putting all of our pieces on. Oh, we have one last thing we need to do. With the Delightfully Eclectic paper, which is the big 48 pack of paper, you get all of these designs. We used this one. And we're using this one. You get 4 of each of the designs. Excuse me. So this is the paper I used on my trimmer, and this is the paper we're going to use to spell out our sentiment. Okay? So that's a good pack of paper to split with your friend. So I've taken that one, and I've already cut 2 of my letters. I just cut a strip off that had the letters that I wanted. And I'm just going to fussy cut these. And the easiest way to fussy cut this is I could get the letters that I wanted out of 2 strips. So I just cut across and around and around, because this is the easiest, quickest way to do 2 at a time. Okay, and then go back and trim up your other one. Now with this one I really only need 2. I really only need the R, so that's all I'm going to cut at the moment. Okay, so I've pre-cut, to save us some time, the A and the T, and I believe that is all the pieces that we now need to finish this card. So let's go ahead and do that. Get this out of the way, bring in the silicone mat, and we'll start arranging. Okay, so we're going to take and put our art. Oh my gosh, did I lose a letter? Are you kidding me? Where did that go? Oh, it's stuck on that paper. I moved it to the side. Thank goodness. Okay, so we've got it right here. Woohoo! So we've got art, and I'm going to start with this at the top, and I am going to pop these up. So let's get out some dimensionals, and we'll put those on. Hi, Tracy. Okay, let's put these on. And then I'm going to start with the R. And I'm going to add this in the center at the top here. And I'm going to go with the A. And put that down. And you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I kind of liked it. Putting that down. Try and get that a little bit on the straighter side. Okay, so there's my letters. So my sentiment says art with love. And then I'm going to put down my pieces here. I'm going to put these together, and the way I did this was I scooted this onto my silicone mat, took my mini dimensionals, put them half on and half off, all the way around here. Making sure that I'm not showing on the outside. Okay. Then I'm going to leave those backings on. I'm going to pick that up. And I'm going to place my circle down on top of those mini dimensionals. So now my whole embroider hoop is now one piece, ready for my project here. So I'm going to place these kind of like this. So let's go ahead and put a little bit of adhesive here on the back. If your Stampin' Seal gets stuck, just run it on your Stampin' or your silicone mat and it'll go again. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put this down. Let's put this down here, like so. We'll pull those backings off. And we'll put this down like so. And then I'm going to add this to my embroidery hoop. So it looks like I embroidered that. Okay. Then we're going to need our scissors. And for these, I just put glue down. I tried to use Stampin' Dimensionals. They're so tiny, can't really do that. And I kind of liked it looking like they were sticking up. So I'm going to put some glue, some Tombow here and here. And a little bit of Tombow. Let's see. I want just a little bit on the tip of this one. Not putting any glue on the other one. And I'm going to stick these down. Oops, I put the glue on the wrong one. Darn it. Oops. No, yep, I did. Oh well. See if we can wipe that off. Okay. And there we go. Kind of wanted that scissor head to stick up a little bit. Okay, so we've got that. Now let's go ahead and add our spools of thread. And I did this with just a little bit more glue. Put one down here. One up here. Then I'm going to take a glue dot for the second one. And at the top of my spool, I'm going to put the glue dot. At the top only, because I'm going to run this right over the bottom of the other spool. Okay, and there you have the card. Okay, so let's get a few of these things out of the way. For the inside of my card, I took this sentiment, sending you a handmade hug, right here. And I stamped that down. And then there's a tiny flower that I stamped the same way I showed you, with once in Lost Lagoon and once in Calypso Coral. Cut the flower and just added it to the side of my sentiment. We'll put that on the inside of the card, because of course, you could just stamp right on the inside of the card if you choose. It's white, but you stick with me, you know that I don't do that. And I use the same, the coordinating paper for the envelope flap. I hope you like that. Okay, let me do a quick little cleanup here. And we will move on to the next project. Right. Let's get rid of this. I don't think I need this pad. Okay. So for our next project, we're going to do a 3D. Oh, hang on. Let me show you the other two cards I made with this stamp set, just for your inspiration. I believe I showed you this once before. So this one uses the large artist frame. And then I made this one last night. So this is a book binding easel card. And I wanted to use the sewing machine, and I thought, what better to use than to do a quilting pattern. So I put that quilting pattern together. It's really rather easy. And then this is designed to stand up like so. Okay. It says sending you a handmade hug. This uses the Inked Botanicals Designer Series paper. This is the Lost Lagoon braided ribbon, and I cut the edge off and then separated all the strands and made my bow. Okay, so there's that. A couple of extra cards for inspiration for you. Okay, and let's set this aside. Okay, moving on to the next project. Going to be using Pebbled Path, Pecan Pie, and Night of Navy inks. We've got the Dark Bubble Bath Stampin' Blend. I've got the Glorious Gingham Designer Series paper. with this pack, this is a 6x6 pack. So again, let's see. You get berry burst, blueberry bushel, lemon lime twist, pecan pie, and pretty peacock, and they all have these. This is the front and the back patterns. So you get, let's see, 40 sheets of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors. So 8 of each sheet. And I've chosen the Berry Burst pattern. Okay. I'm pretty sure I already have that cut out. And we'll be using a stapler. Okay, along with our Simply Scored. So we've got a piece of Berry Burst, and this is 7 3/8 by 2 3/4, and we've got a piece of Pebble Path 9 by 3 1/4 inches. I've got a piece of Designer Series paper in the Glorious Gingham, and this is 3 by 3 1/4 in the portrait mode. We've got a piece that is 3/4 by 3 inch that we just cut from the bottom of that. And then we've got one more piece that is 2 3/4 by 2 1/2. Okay. And then I've got a piece of white, basic white. I've cut this from the Countryside Corners dies, and I altered this. This die is actually smaller. Okay, and so if we have time, I'll show you how I did that. I know I've showed you in the past. I've pre-cut a bunch of stuff to save us some time. I stamped on basic white the Stampin' Cut emboss machine, used the coordinating die cut to cut that out, stamped this yarn stamp. We've got the yarn stamp and the cut and emboss machine. This is Night of Navy. From the die set, I cut the basket, and then I took a piece of basic white, used the dark bubble bath Stampin' Blend, colored that with the Stampin' Blend because I wanted it to be light, and then I used the heart dies that are in that die set. These ones right here, it's a set of 2. I cut those out, and we're using the smaller heart, and I put Wink Estella over the top of those. Okay, so those are our pieces. We've got to get some scoring done, so let's get that out of the way. This, by the way, is the project that we're making. It says life is better when you're crafting. It's a matchbook pocket that holds a fun size M&M pack. Okay. Can be used, or it can be made for any occasion. All right. So let's go ahead and pull in the Simply Scored. And we're going to start with the Pebbled Path. And we're going to score this on the 9-inch side at 1, 5, and 5 1/2. Okay, easy peasy. Then we're going to take our Berry Burst, and on the 7 3/8 inch side, we're going to score this at 3/8 of an inch, 7/8 of an inch, 3 7/8, and 4 3/8. Okay. And then I'm going to take and flip this over, still on the 7 3/8 inch side, And I'm going to score this at 5/8 and 4 1/8. Okay, and you might think, well, why don't I just score it all on the same side? Originally, I did that, but when you do that, your accordion folds don't line up quite the way, or they didn't line up quite the way I wanted them to. So by folding, or by scoring them this way, with most of the scores on one side and the center scores here, see you've got 2 sets of 3 scores, and we're going to accordion fold these. By scoring this on the opposite side, the scores go together. The accordion fold looks much neater. Okay, so I'm going to just fold the valley scores into mountain folds on these 4. Okay, then I'm going to turn it to the opposite side, and I'm going to turn that score into a mountain fold. Okay, just like so. And now when I take these, everything lines up perfectly. Edges are all flat together, and it just lines up much better than it did when I did them all in the same direction. Okay, I just get a much crisper edge by doing that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead on this end flap here. Okay, and I'm going to put a piece of tear and tape to put our little pocket together. Oh, I'm so glad you guys love that card. I was kind of thought it turned out really cute myself. But then I'm kind of biased. Sometimes I don't like how my things turn out, but... Okay, so let's go ahead. I always like to use my pokey tool to get the wax paper off. And I'm going to bring this up. Okay, and I am going to line these 2 edges. The cut edge to the folded edge, and this is the easiest way I found to do it. Okay, just take and line those up one side at a time, making sure that your fold and your cut line match. Then press it all together, give it a good bone fold. Okay, and now this is going to be the back of your pocket. Okay, so we're going to take that smaller piece of designer series paper, and you can use whichever side you want. I use the opposite side on the inside that I used on the outside. But of course, you can do yours however you would like. And I'm just going to add this here, like so. Okay. And we're going to take our outside cover piece, and we're going to burnish on all of those score lines in the same direction. Valley scores into mountain folds. Okay, this is going to be my bottom lip that I'm going to tuck everything into. This piece right here. Okay. So I am going to take my pocket and I'm going to put it on the inside, and I'm going to leave 3/8 to 1/2 of an inch at the bottom, and I'm going to hold that. Then I'm going to bring this up flat like this. I'm going to take my stapler, and so that nobody catches their fingers on my staple, I'm not going to staple it from the front. I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to line it up how I think I need to. Then I'm going to look on the side to make sure that if I'm halfway up, I'm in the center, about halfway up, and that when I punch this down, I'm going to catch the inside of that pocket. And of course, wouldn't you know, oh my goodness, I don't have any staples. Okay. Is that not the way it always goes on your live? Okay, so let's grab some staples. Shove that in there. Let's have a hard time here. Let's put this in. Oop. This has got to go this way. I always have a hard time. Oh my. Come on, don't pop out. Okay, let's try the full one. Oh my, I might put these in. There, now it'll stay the way it's supposed to. We can get this. Am I not doing this correctly? Why am I having so much trouble? It has to go that. Oh, no, it doesn't. It goes this way. I'm putting them in upside down. There we go. That makes a difference. All right, sorry about that, you guys. Okay, so let's go ahead, line this back up. Put this down. The good news is now I've got a spot. I can see right where I was going to do it and put that in. Okay, so what that does now, this is nice and tight in here, and those little pokey things that you could cut yourself on are here. And we're going to cover that up with our Designer Series paper. And this is looking too wide. Oh my. It is too wide. I cut this too wide. Oh. Okay, I used 3 1/4. Oh, this is 3 1/2. Well, that didn't work out very good, did it? Let's see if I can trim this. 3 3/8. Let's see if it'll work. I'm showing you how to fix it, I guess. When you don't measure correctly, because why do I do that a lot? 3 1/4 or the quarters and the halves, I just have trouble with for whatever reason. Okay, there we go. Fix that. Now we'll put this at 3 1/4. I'm going to go to this end. And we'll see if, well, that worked better. That worked much better. All right, there we go. Fixed. I did want to have to recut all my Designer Series paper. Okay, so now we can just glue this down. That stapler, Tracy, if you don't have the full thing of staples, a full strip of staples, it just doesn't want to take them for some reason. So I'm just going to put this down here, right over the top of that staple. That will protect anybody's fingers, and I've used the liquid glue so that it can go right around that staple. Okay, now for the front, we're just going to add this on, and I can do that. Hang on, I want to make sure that You don't have to, but I want to make sure that I'm using the right piece so it lines up. With how it should have. Well, it doesn't matter. I put that bottom piece down on backwards. It's okay. Not gonna line up. It's all right. Nobody's gonna be as picky as me, probably. Okay, so I've got the outside. I lay this flat. What time is it? 8 o'clock. Okay. Okay, then I'm going to take my altered countryside corner, and I'm going to take the Berry Burst ink, which apparently I've already put away, and I'm going to ink up our Life is Better When You're Crafting. And I'm going to line that up. More to the left and up to the top. I'm just going to stamp that down. Okay, so we've got that. And then we're going to add this to our piece. More to the top. I'm going to leave about 3/8 to 1/2 of an inch at the top. I'm going to get some Stampin' Dimensionals for my cut and emboss machine. I stamped and die cut with that bundle, and this is done in Smoky Slate. Right? No, I used Pebble Path. Okay, so I've got that. Then I'm going to take my basket and I'm going to add just a little bit of glue on my yarn right along the bottom. Just a little bit. And then I'm going to lay this down, which I don't know what I did with my silicone mat now. It disappeared out of my sight. You should do this on your silicone mat so if the glue oozes, you won't get it on your surface. Okay. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to take some more Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm going to put that like that so that it covers both pieces and holds them together with a better bond. And then, oh, I don't want this, I don't think. Hang on, I don't think I should have put that. Nope, I think I'm fine. I think I put it up high enough. You got to make sure. Actually, I'm going to peel this one off, and I'm going to use a mini right up here at the top. And then I can push this down here like so and still have my, now I could use a mini right here. So I'm going to take the top off of my mini right here on my wax paper sheet, and then I'm going to take my tweezers and just stick that in there. Okay, just to give it more security. And finally for this, then we're going to take these 3 hearts and we're going to close this up after we get our M&Ms in here. Oh, hang on. I made a 3rd project, so I stole the M&Ms that I was going to put in here for that project. Okay, so we've got that. Now we'll just tuck that in there like so. Okay, and actually, if I'd have been a little better, I would have tucked it in and then put my, let's see if we can get that up. Well, it doesn't matter. On my original sample, I made it so that my basket looks like it's sitting right on the edge there. Okay, so we're going to take and put a heart down here. We'll put a heart up here. And we'll put a heart right here by the crafting, which almost doesn't fit because I put my yarn up a little high, but it'll work. So then I'm just going to take your pick tool, and you could just put the glue on the project. I'm just going to hold that like so and put this right here and pick this one up, put that down. Do that, and we'll do the same thing with the final one. Okay, we'll just put that right there. Okay, so there are the projects. I'll go ahead and put out the templates. So if you wanted to take a screenshot, you could do that. These will be on my blog on Saturday, and you'll be able to get the measurements then. Okay, so that is those. Okay, now I wanted to make another version for the 4th of July. So what did I do? Here it is. I actually saw this design done up in a card, and I thought I would adapt it. I was going to go back and find the lady's name. So I adapted it using what I had and making it into this project. Okay. So a nice little treat that you could do for your 4th of July table. These don't take very much paper, and they certainly don't take a lot of effort. This uses the Circle Sayings stamp set. The star comes from Give It a Whirl dies. And then this is that star patterned or starfish, whatever you want to call it, that embossing folder that's part of those, the Basics 3Ds that you get 3 of, okay? And this red and white striped paper, Stampin' Up! Has in the 6x6 color collection stacks has a stripe. I don't have that, so I just took a piece of basic white and ran my Stampin' Blend marker in strips for that. So I made my own. All right. So there's that. Okay. So I think that's everything I have for you today. So we've got those 2 projects. Here's the card that we made today. And if you want to look at these real quick, you could see how much of this can I get in the screen. One more card. Let's see what we can do. Can we get them all in? Oh, let's do it this way. Nope, that's not going to work. We need to do it this way. Maybe this way. It doesn't matter. Okay, there we go. Playing Russian roulette with my cards here. Alrighty. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed that and you're inspired. I love this bundle. It was fairly easy to work with, and I will see you all next week on Wednesday night with another fun-filled tutorial. Good night, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me. See you next week.